Hey, everybody, welcome in to the Two Fat Boys podcast. I'm Ken,
I'm Jay.
and this is the show where fat guys have a voice. No filters, no apologies, and absolutely nobody telling us that we got to eat a salad.
If it's your first time tuning into our podcast, let me tell you a little bit about us. It's just two fat boys talking about confidence, style, and real life issues, the stuff that nobody talks about, fat boys.
Yeah, because it's true that in the world that clothes are not made for fat boys, ads are not made for fat boys, stores are not made for fat boys, and seats definitely are not made for fat boys.
Amen to that.
So let's get in this.
You're right. Let's get.
Well, Southwest just admitted they were wrong in their policy for big people, and almost nobody's talking about it. So we're going to talk about it. On January the 27th, 2026, Southwest ended its long-standing free extra seat policy requiring customers of size who don't fit between the armrests to buy an extra seat in advance of their flight, with refunds only under strict conditions. But that version didn't last long. In May 2026, Southwest updated their policy again. Plus-size passengers are no longer required to purchase an extra seat in advance, and airport agents can now offer additional seats at no extra cost when space is available on the flight. But that's the catch. On flights where adjacent seats are available, agents at the airport are empowered to provide an additional seat at no cost. If another seat isn't available, Southwest will work to accommodate the customer on a later flight. No. If you don't book an extra seat in advance, you risk not boarding your original flight if no additional seats are open. So Southwest still encourages customers who may need an extra seat to book one in advance to avoid last-minute issues at the airports. Now, Jay's got personal experience in this. It happened to him before, so I'm going to, before I read the rest of this, I'm going to let him tell you what happened to him.
Yeah, like I said, so you need to always, and you can mark it on the thing, but you need to mark, do it in advance, because that's the catch. If you don't, like I said, they don't guarantee you a seat. But on the web, you need it on the website. Notate. I guess I hadn't done it in a while, but it was a spot that you was getting an extra seat because you was overweight, which still is, it's not right. But if the plane's not fully booked when you take off, then you will get reimbursed for that extra seat. But if it's booked, 100% booked, then they charge you for that seat. But I'd rather pay it. Like I said, they give you a little thing that you put in the seat, which sometimes people ain't happy because you take it up.
Right.
You purchase that seat. I mean, I've done it travel for work, and stuff. But at least they're the only airlines that do offer, if they're not booked up, to reimburse you money. So that's why I fly Southwest. I'm not giving credits, but that's why because 9 times out of 10, I got a free seat. Got reimbursed.
So yay for Southwest for doing that. The rollback came after real backlash. When the January policy took effect, travelers reported being told at ticket counters and gates that they wouldn't fit in a single seat, and advocacy from plus-size travelers and influencers played a role in the reversal. I can only imagine. Worth noting that Southwest is now the outlier in a good way. Delta requires passengers who can't fit in a single seat without encroaching into a neighbor to purchase an additional seat before flying, and United and American both have similar policies. I'm kind of torn on this because I can see, as a fat person who has bled over into the seat beside you, it is very uncomfortable for you when you're having to hold yourself and make sure you're not touching them, and it's just very uncomfortable. So the second seat, but then the cost of flights now, you're talking an extra $2,000 to $1,000 per trip that you're having to pay just because you're a fat ass. So, I don't know. We'll see if this story changes any.
But I mean, but that I said of all the airlines, they do offer y'all. I said 9 times out of 10, I got my money back.
Yep.
You know, but where everybody else, that's why.
So kudos to Southwest for doing that.
At least that's a start.
Yeah,
they've been doing it a long time. I've been for years. It's been years that I've been using them, and
we've always flown Southwest as well. Yeah. All righty. Thank you, Southwest.
30 to 40% of men are anxious about being overweight, but most of them stay quiet because of stigma.
Bigger men face stigma from all around, and it's tied to assumptions about your health, self-control, that you just can't control yourself, or your masculinity. Pressure seems strong even when it creates real conflict within yourself. You need to stay strong, but you're not, because you're not confident with yourself.
Yeah, men are less likely than women to talk about it or to seek help. About their male positivity, I guess, get less attention.
Yeah. Male body positivity is non-existent. When you look it up, as a photographer, I did a body positivity project several years ago, and it kind of had some traction because it's non-existent. But this right here is literally why Jay and I created the Big Men Society. We've been fat boys our whole life, so we know the struggle, we know the shopping struggle, we know the eating struggle, we know it all. So that's why we wanted to create this, and we invite you to, if you have anything that you want to say, drop us a holler, send me an email, just say hi.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if well, I know you have. We know you go shopping or something like I've had a few, several special functions that come up, and then, you go store to store and you leave empty-handed. And you, like I said, you just feel so depressed and everything, and it's not your fault. I mean, like you said, the percentage of overweight people, it's not our fault. It's not your fault. And that's why we created this. And like I said, if anybody has and I know at different times you do, and you get so depressed, feel free to call us, or text us, reach out to us. Like I said, if you want us to share your story, or if you just need a shoulder to cry on and just keep it secret, all you got to do is just say that, and we'll communicate whatever, keep it all private. Because like I said, I've been there. I've gone home, like I said, went to store because I was going to a convention thing, and I had to give a presentation, and like I said, I couldn't find anything that made me look decent, and I don't mind. I'm large, and I accept that, but I want to look good being large.
Right. And
it's not a crime. It's not our fault. We didn't fail. The fashion industry failed us.
Right. So, fashion designers, y'all got to do better. Think about us. We are a large part of the community.
7 out of 10.
Yep. So y'all got to do better. We're calling you on it. We are absolutely calling you. It is Paris Fashion Week, and spring summer shows have been everywhere. I've seen them all over my timeline on TikTok. I've watched most of them. So I am a big fan of fashion. But the thing is, big men are not represented. It is, I take that back. One designer this year had 2 male models, big men, on his runway, and that was Tommy Hilfiger. That was huge, huge for big and tall men. But it's kind of sad when you look at the statistics for America, when you see that 4 out of 10 men are considered obese, and then 7 out of 10 men are overweight. That's crazy statistics. And to know that 7 out of 10 men are overweight, but they're not even being considered at all in fashion decisions, nor are they being thought about when it comes to fashion. And we like to look good. I like to look good. Jay likes to look good. So that's sad. I think we've taken up enough of your time today. So we're gonna check out of here. Again, this is Ken
And Jay.
and we're 2 fat boys with the Big Man Society, and we want you to help us grow our community. We want you to share, comment, like, and follow. Try to share us with your friends, especially your big guy friends, and let's get more involved and let's make this thing grow.
Yes.
Let's turn it into something real. We appreciate you. We love you guys, and we're gonna say good night.
See you later.